Welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Today we are looking at the basic Ectomobile, as they chose to designate it. It's the Ecto-1 to everybody, as far as I know. I'm sure there's a good reason for it being the Ectomobile. This is the basic one, though. As I said, the deluxe one has not shipped yet, and yes, I ordered both because I need both looks. I gotta have them. I love Ghostbusters too. I know it has its detractors. I know. Look, even I have some issues with it, but I love the movie, and toy-wise, it's the more toyetic, fun Ecto-1. So I ordered two, and what I'm going to be doing here today, I think I'm going to just be looking at the car today. There are, if you can see the rest of the packaging here, beautiful packaging as usual. But in this set, we've also got Slimer, the Library Ghost, and Louis Tully. I think these are going to be separate reviews, most likely. But we'll see how today goes. And then once I get the deluxe set in, I'll do a supplemental review of just the new features with the Ghostbusters 2 Ecto-1. And that hasn't shipped yet. I don't know when that's going to get here. Licensed by GM, which is very cool. As I said, the packaging looks great. It's this like toolbox type of thing. We've got some notes on the top just of the work that needed to be done on the hearse. Notice of violation. Get a little pick of the Library Ghost there. And then back to the front, we've got the sort of front of the toolbox with just different stuff. I think it's funny they've got a drawer for ectoplasm. Why not? This is fun, right? And then on the sides, you've got handles printed on, obviously not functional, with the public library sticker. That's a nice little nod to the opening scene. And then just a different colored public library sticker. So there you go. And I'm curious, though, because it's got this central sliding piece. It looks like that's not going to need to be removed at all, because all we've got is circular adhesive tape right here and on the other side. And we're going to go ahead and get down to business. So as I said, I had to have two of these, but certainly at least having one, I mean, it was a must-have because Ghostbusters, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, a top five, certainly. I think it's a perfect movie, the original Ghostbusters. And then, of course, went on, as I mentioned, Ghostbusters 2, which I love. And then Real Ghostbusters, just the legacy of Ghostbusters is fantastic. But that first movie was the significance of it. Like, go watch Stranger Things season, what is it, season 2, I believe. That's 1984, and they dress up as Ghostbusters for Halloween. That would have blown my mind to be able to put those costumes together and have them for Halloween. And I love how they did them, too. Not to get off on a Stranger Things tangent, but the fact that they weren't perfect, they looked like the kids had built them, was such a nice touch. Okay, so this is our interior carton, or cartons. We've got a separate piece off to the side that is jam-packed with accessories. We'll take a look at that in a minute. We've got a label sheet. Slimer hanging out right up front here. Oh, interesting. That's a new way of constructing Slimer. Not sure how I feel about it. But at least he doesn't have the giant muscle man arms. That drives me crazy. That's been done in figure form a few times. And I'm just not a fan of Muscle Man Slimer. He had sort of more spindly arms. I'd say the Ecto-1 is one of the most iconic vehicles in cinema, up there with, you know, various versions of the Batmobile. The Blade Runner car. I'm not going to go down the list, but this is, there was just no way I wasn't going to have this. And if you remember, Matty Collector did a crowdfund years ago when they had the Ghostbusters license for a 1/12 scale Ecto-1, and it didn't succeed. And I still don't really feel bad about not backing it. I did not back that one at the time. I was buying Mattel's Ghostbusters product, and look, I don't want to sit here and just talk smack about Mattel, but I was buying their Ghostbusters product because that's what was available, not because I was necessarily all that happy with what they were making. And in my reviews at the time, I said as much. Those are archived, I'll just say. Okay, so this, once you're done with this, you're done with this. Nothing else in there. So I really wasn't interested in the dollar investment, and I don't remember at all how much Mattel wanted for their 1/12 scale Ecto-1. I mean, I would guess less than this one, just, you know, due to inflation, but I can't remember. Good gosh, this is beautiful. What? Wow. Wow. Okay. So from tail light to front bumper, about 22.5 inches. Wait until we put the top on, or the top accessories on, to see what we're dealing with. And then about 8 inches across. So that's what we're dealing with dimensionally. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so there's that tray. And then okay. The Library Ghost and Tully are just in the bottom of that cardboard cube. So they don't get their own packaging, which, you know, doesn't bother me. I think perhaps some collectors might not love that. But I love that they're just, here they are. Boom. Done. And these accessories are all relevant to them, so we're going to set those aside. These accessories, on the other hand, oh my gosh, I was not ready for that big green badonk. So that is the most detailed Slimer butt I have seen. Hang on, because I've got the Mezco. Mezco put out a pretty respectable Slimer butt, right? And also this one is translucent green, which is gorgeous. But I gotta say, Hasbro has taken the cake. Huh? See what I did there? I do kind of wish Hasbro's was translucent, though. So I think what I'm going to do is do a little pause, get everything out of the trays and set up, and then come back in, because there's no reason for you to sit here. This is already going to be a long review. No reason to sit here and watch me take all that stuff out of the trays. You know what? I take that back, because if anything is a little more difficult to get out, I want to let you know. So we'll just do a little speed up, maybe. All right, so everything that goes with the car I believe is right here, and then off screen is the figure stuff, which I'll do all three of them in a separate review. It may not be 3 reviews. We've got the label sheet. For a HasLab, typically I prefer all tampos, but in this instance, you have 2 different looks for the car, so you do have to have labels in order to customize it properly. We've got an instruction book here. Proper placement of all of the gear. Oh, the plug-in for, wow. So it's got batteries or USB. We'll have to take a look at that and see how it works. But anyway, there are the instructions. And I'm going to get the batteries figured out off camera. All right, let's get everything plugged in here. We've got the windshield wipers that are 2 distinct windshield wipers. Oh, and you've even got a little sort of crescent here, so they plug in the right way. Interesting that they went to the length, even though these line up, with this silver paint right here. They went to the length of making these separate pieces rather than just sculpting them into this part behind the hood. Look at the other rear view. And I'm not sure why that was left off. Must be a packing thing, I would imagine. How high does that sit? So the bottom little part of this, we'll take a closer look in a minute, but it does not sit flush. Not supposed to. Design-wise, it doesn't sit flush. Oh, we do actually have, hang on, let's take a look. I'm surprised that fit. Because these are actually a little different. So we've got 2 side mirrors. You can see they are different pieces. So let's take a look. Okay, yeah, as I thought, this one actually goes on this side. Well, or does it? No, I was right the first time, I guess. Because that doesn't go in that slot. All right, I'm going to do a fast forward of putting everything together and make any mention, because we're going to take a closer look at everything anyway. So we'll come back for talkie points. And the antennas are in this top tray that I pulled out and didn't look closely enough at, which happens. All right, back for just a second to explain a few things. The antennas are actual wire, which I don't love because now I'm responsible for curving them the way they're supposed to be curved. And that's uncomfortable for me. If you can see in the image here, I almost wonder if this image, well, no, because these are completely different parts, but this is what it looked like on the 1/18th scale. It was just a thick piece of plastic, which looked fine. At this scale, I get where plastic maybe wouldn't necessarily be ideal, but I'm going to deal with those some other time. I also don't know how I feel about the loops at the top of them. If you can see that. So all the parts just slide into place very easily. Nothing really like clicks into place. It's all pretty easy to take on and off as needed. And everything fit well. Nothing gave me any trouble. I left these two little pieces right here out because those are a plug. There's only one spot you need it right now. This is to accommodate a part for the Ghostbusters 2 version. So it came with this handy dandy little plug that goes right in there. To cover that hole for this version. And I'm curious to see. No, it is just circular. So it seems like that should go flush, but at the same time, if it does go flush, you're never getting it out of there again. And I got to think they leave the option. So I don't know. That's going to be up to your own personal taste as to whether you can deal with that little circle being right there or not. It does, I'm not going to lie, it does bug me a little, but not much. But it seems like, no, that does not go flush. Trying to think what else to look at. You can see you've got a lens on the light. Well, that'll be for close-up. We'll take a closer up look at everything. So that, it rolls beautifully. It's got a nice glossy finish on it. And I don't know, I don't think I even knew this. Let me get the right angle here, or correct angle. I don't know that I realized the hood was going to open, which at this scale, sure, it should, but it's kind of an unexpected thing. Again, we'll take a closer look at that once I unmount the phone and get into the workshop, maybe. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do that yet. We do have a couple of tampos here on those gauges. Just noticed that. Well, I mean, there's a lot of paint on this. So I guess the next thing is to take a look and figure out which labels I'm going to apply and where. And that process I am not going to film. Okay, we're in the workshop now because it'll be easier to take a look at some of these things with the camera up overhead, and then we'll take it off and get a look at some closer detail. These are decals. I'm probably going to redo all of the labels that I put on, or at least most of them, because I believe I put this up a little too high on both sides. And then these are just, let's see, the ones under the lights right there, that's insane. Hasbro, what are you thinking making us put all these decals on? The one on the back here, I think I placed pretty well. It's pretty centered. I don't love the license plate, and we'll take a closer look at that in a minute, being a sticker rather than sculpted. That feels like not great, although maybe it's a different license plate for the second movie. We'll find out when the deluxe Ecto gets here. Take a little closer look at this stuff. You can see that turns. Just great detail. It all looks like those tanks with the little hoses, the gauges look fantastic. The way that the tinting is done on the side windows where it's sort of frosted here and here, if you can see that, and then it's nice clear plastic all the way across. It's a nice little touch that I'd never noticed on the Ecto itself. Get that door opened up, and inside, well, we'll have to get a light and take a closer look inside. Steering wheel turns, all the gauges and panels and everything are good. So here's what we're gonna do now. The batteries go in here, but we are not going to use the batteries. We are going to use, this is a little unwieldy to get everything plugged in the way it's supposed to be plugged in. There is a USB-C port right here. So we're going to take a standard USB-C that's barely reaching, by the way, cable. We're going to plug it into that port, and we're going to check out the light and sound effects. You can use batteries, or you can use that USB-C. The buttons are up on the front here underneath the license plate. This one is sound, this one is light. So here we go. That is taillights and headlights. Oh, just knocked something over. Glasses. Okay. I think I need to stand up for this. That'll be easier. I don't know what that was. Jack-o'-lantern needs to be put away. So there are your headlights. And your tail lights, nice and bright. Those were extra pieces that were put on, if you remember. And then we're just going to have to take the phone down for this. All right, here we go. So the tail lights and the brake lights. You can see where the USB-C plugs in. And then your headlights there, really bright, really, really bright. Look great. And that is interior lights. You got the radio, and then you've got lights. This door makes me nervous. You got the overhead light there and there. Just absolutely fantastic touch. And another thing, you know, I've mentioned pretty much every review, I don't look too closely at something that I know I'm going to order. The interior lighting on this was a very pleasant surprise for me. And then sirens lit up, flashing. The beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then one more. Turns everything off. So of course now, that door functions perfectly well, but it's a hinge with a little extension on it, similar to the 1/18th scale. It just makes me nervous. So now let's see what happens when we press them both at the same time. Oh, now that's interesting. And that turns the sound off. And if you hold the light button down, it turns it off whatever mode it's in. So let's get... So 5 presses gets it. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's so nice. And then... I do kind of wish there was a instant do it all. Oh, there is. Wow. So that was both buttons. Hold both buttons. Oh, whoops. Oh, interesting. Let's see. Okay, so that starts it up again. All right. So to turn it off, you have to hit the sound button and then hold the light button, and that just shuts the whole thing down. Absolutely fantastic. So let's see. Get a little more close-up detail. Let's get those lights on. A little closer shot of the interior. You can see the radio up there, which actually has, well, we'll get to that in a minute. The door that makes me nervous is actually fine. You've got the phone over there that comes off of the little hanger. And then, of course, that back door opens up. And then, let me fix this back up here. I'm going to turn the lights off for this because I'm not sure how it'll function. So there's a little tool that comes with this that you saw when I unpacked everything. It's this white tool that I believe is meant to go in these notches right here. But it's just as easy just to do this. And the whole entire top comes off. You can see there's the plug. Well, there are the interior dome lights. There's the radio I was talking about with the little removable speaker or mic. That's the plug for the electronics back here, which is just brilliant. And now we can get a better look inside. At just all of the sculpted and painted detail. This is actually a flip down seat. All those wires are wires. Like they're not just sculpted plastic, they're actually kind of loose wires. Better look at the dash. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I took the antennas off because I knew I was going to be moving this around, and I'm still not quite sure how I want to handle those. So let me grab a couple other things and we'll wrap this thing up. All right, kind of the last piece here, the gurney that holds the proton packs. I've got Lewis's here just so we can take a look at how it works. Sits on there like that. It doesn't really like clip into place as much as I expected it to, but it does. I mean, it's the way that it's sculpted. You can see it situates like that. And what I'm curious about is, does it actually fit in there with the cord sticking up the way that it does? And the answer seems to be no. No. Does not. Not even close. Now, I'm guessing once you get this into place, yeah, you really do have to kind of mash it in there if you want that to work. And, you got to question, how much bigger would this have to be for that to be fully compatible in that way? Oh, yeah, that's not going to fit in there at all. So, quick close-up here because it's worth mentioning. Rubber wheels. I love the white on these. Just looks really nice. Appreciate that detail. And also, just to get in as close as possible, the detail on the middle of that wheel is great. It's on, let's see, it's on the back there as well, and you've even got the little sculpted, it just looks great. Just lift it up here and take a look at the treads. As many kind of minor issues as I have with how this was executed. Look, the detail on the bottom of the car, even. The fact that that's not just blank. I mean, that wouldn't be acceptable if it were, but, looks good. All right, we're going to get close up on a couple more details here. First, those the antenna's in the way. Those are labels, which is not okay, honestly. I would assume they're labels because the second car, or the Ghostbusters 2 car, does not have those features, but it's not okay. If you look at the smaller model, they're sculpted in. Also, I don't have them in the right spot. I should have referred to this before I put them on. But also, I think I'm just going to pull these right off because I think they look terrible, and I don't think it's okay that what absolutely should be and is on this other model, sculpted detail, is a freaking sticker. Unfortunately, these do pull off very easily. Probably could go back on the label sheet, but it included so many of them, I'm not going to worry about it. Didn't leave any residue behind. What's unfortunate, though, about how easily the labels pull off is, as you can see, this one that's on a rounded surface is coming off. So it's been, oh, look at that. It's actually been a couple of days since I started this review. I'm circling back because there are a couple more things I wanted to cover. And that is just peeling off, which is, I think, something Hasbro is going to have to address. I'm certainly going to shoot them an email with some of my concerns. So just a little side-by-side there. I still really love the 1/18 scale one. We'll put that over to the side. And I will point out, so I said, Ectomobile, I don't love that they're calling it that, But guess what? A detail that I would imagine Ghostbusters fans are aware of, like the ones who had, you can see how crooked that is. But fortunately, I can pull it off and put it right back on. But look at that, Ectomobile, right there in the sticker. So, and I'm going to be rewatching the movie again pretty soon. For I don't even know. I would say I've probably watched Ghostbusters as many times as any movie I've ever seen. I love it. So those are just some little details that I wanted to point out. I just don't think the hood thing is okay. And honestly, I think you got to do an alternate hood. I don't think it's acceptable to just say, here's some stickers for sculpted detail. And I know they're dealing with budgets and everything else. And if you know me, you know I can always kind of in my head justify the way something is done, or almost always. But that to me is not okay. It just isn't. Speaking of not okay, so I'm going to mount the phone again, and we're going to take a look at figure compatibility. Normally, I would just throw my guy Dusty in there. He's my crash test dummy, if you will. But I don't even know for sure, since I don't have any of the Plasma Series Ghostbusters figures, I don't know if they're actually the same scale as classified. So let me grab this Lewis Tully, and we'll check out how well the figure interacts with the vehicle. All right, so here's Tully. Full review tomorrow. We're not going to review the figure today, but I will say this. It is a wild decision in 2025 to do these glasses the same way they did Baroness's glasses in 1984. I can't think of any toy line that just sculpts glasses on the face like that, with just no lenses, nothing. For 1/12 scale, I'm going to go with a not okay. Full review of the figure tomorrow. So let's take a look, and I'm going to guess we've got a little scaling issue between Classified and Ghostbusters. Now, maybe not, because Rick Moranis, I love he's got the Spengler, because of course he does. Lewis is a short little guy. So maybe this isn't as off scale-wise as it appears to be. And standing Dusty beside the Ecto-1 seems, you know what, we're going to find out if he fits in there as well, because why not, right? Okay. I'm just going to pull the top off because that's the easiest way to get at the interior. Uh-oh. Turn the lights on. Whoops. Okay, there we go. Well, let me unplug our hoses here. Although if you just pull it off without unplugging them, it really isn't a problem. All right. So top off. Just be careful when you set it down because that ladder's on there. Although with the way the ladder is attached, it probably will just pop off as opposed to causing any kind of real problems. So he's a little bitty guy who sits pretty... Oh, does he have... No, he doesn't have the drop-down hips, but he sits relatively well for... Oh, look at the pins on him. Oh, come on. What? All right, review tomorrow. Review tomorrow. So we're just going to slide him right in there. And of course, this little tiny fellow fits in there just fine. You could get 3 people in that front seat easily. And then we've got the jump seats in the back. That you're probably not going to get 2 people. I'm going to close those doors so I can turn this. You're probably not going to get 2 people in these seats because they're so low, like the legs have to go out in front of them. I mean, you could, but this person's legs are going to have to be in this person's lap. So, I mean, you could get 2 people back there, but at no point in my memory are 2 people sitting back here. Oh, that's a good point, though. How do they sit in the car, all 4 of them, how do they sit in the car in the movie? I don't know if we see that, and I'm sure, again, the Ghostbusters experts, I'm sure, know exactly. I hadn't really thought about that before. So let's try this. Let's bend those knees at the furthest joint, so his legs look more like something out of The Arrival and less like a human. But see if he'll sit like, yeah, he can sit like that. So yeah, okay. If you bend their legs super weird, then they can sit that way. So that's cool. You got plenty of clearance here for the headroom. So, okay, cool. So again, full review on him and the other figures in this set tomorrow. Now let's see how well Dusty works in here. So your classified size with the drop down hips, probably going to fit a little more easily. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Still room for 3 in the front if you so desire. And possibly, thanks to those drop-down hips, similar situation in the back here where he'll be able to sit. You have to kind of slouch him a little bit. But, yeah, can sit in those back seats as well. So yes, this is, and I'll, once I've got some Ghostbusters figures, which I'll have once the deluxe comes, and I will be doing an update on the deluxe, like just on the parts that it comes with. Once that arrives, which it has not shipped yet, but whatever, we got plenty of time, right? What else are we doing? So yeah, once I've got those Ghostbusters, we'll see scale-wise how they work. All right, I'm just adding this in somewhere in the middle because I had to have some Ghostbusters, and I got a deal on the old Plasma series. I don't have an Egon yet, but Bill Murray is 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", right around there. So just to do that little scale test, I was correct in my thinking that Plasma series are not remotely the same scale as G.I. Joe Classified. So it's very interesting that Classified figures fit in the Ecto-1 and that the Plasma series figures look all good in it, like they both work. But as you can see, these are not, even proportionally, these just aren't the same type of figures, which is a baffling decision. I just don't understand these toy companies not even making their own lines compatible, but what are you going to do? But yeah, that answers my question of the scale, is that Classified, well, let's see. Oh, I don't have my measuring tape. Oh, yeah, I do. Sorry, I'm going handheld here because I didn't expect to be getting too deep into this. So, for whatever reason, and this makes just no sense whatsoever. So Dusty is 6.5 inches tall. And then Peter Venkman is just under 6 inches tall. So neither one of these are true 1/12 scale. Why? Why? I don't get it. All right, so taking a closer look at the gurney and how it works, you can see there's a little tab right here, and the proton pack slides onto that tab, and that's what holds them securely in place. However, you cannot do that with the positron slider, neutrino wand, whatever the heck it's called, plugged in, because that little hole is right there and this sticks out in the way. So by design, you can't, which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. but by design, you cannot have this on the gurney. So they slide in like that and do store fine just as the backpacks. But then that raises the question, well, I guess you just dump all of those over there. You know, it get back, lost my words. It's been a long day. It gets back to what I say a lot of the time. It is a toy. Yes, it's a HasLab. Yes, it is, in theory, a top of the line, absolute, like, wow, can't believe this got made type of thing. So the idea that any part of it would be kind of fudging it a little bit doesn't seem totally right. But at the same time, what are you going to do? What are you going to make this thing 3 inches taller? Oh, and that top slides right back into place very easily. And then you just plug those parts right back in. No problem at all. So that's not a huge deal to me. I get that some folks are probably going to look at it. I understand if it's an issue for you, but for me, that's not a make or break. When you consider everything else about this, how beautiful it is, the lights, the sounds, the detail, the sheer size of it, which, by the way, I was supposed to measure the full height. So let's see, to the top of that little antenna thing, about 10, just shy of 10 inches tall. So that's just so you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning of the video for the full dimensions. We've got a length of about 22.5 inches, a width at its widest point of about 8 inches, and then a height of just under 10 inches. So those are the dimensions you're dealing with. I don't love, the other thing I don't totally love is the antennas being actual metal. I get it that they thought, oh, this will be really cool. But I don't, in the same way that I don't really want the label placement to be my responsibility, I don't want to have to bend these antennas however they're supposed to bend. I don't care for it. I think it would have been fine for them to be, and I don't know how thin plastic can get for a toy. Like, I'm sure as much as this is a HasLab or whatever, an adult collectible, I'm sure there are still safety considerations. But I just, what do I do with this now? Like, how do I, because with a wire, once you bend the wire's bent. Like, you really can't straighten it back out. So if I don't bend this thing properly the first time I bend it, then it's done. It's messed up. So I don't love the actual metal wires or antennas here. It's not great. But other than that, this is beautiful. It's a centerpiece. It has delivered what I wanted and more. It is a little weird that I don't have any Ghostbusters to go with it. Like I said, I've never bought any of Hasbro's Ghostbusters. They just didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't scratch the itch that I had, and they didn't get too deep into the ghosts. So I think at the time I didn't have a lot of faith that it would be a complete, fulfilling line. But with, again, a centerpiece like this, the Ghostbusters 2 versions on the way, the rooftop battle set coming out, I think, in February to go, with this, at least, this with the Ghostbusters, I can consider, if that's all they do, and the couple of ghosts, then I've got a collection, and I can be happy with that. But I would love to see more ghosts from the movies come out, and that's something that nobody's ever really done in a fulfilling way. Mattel did a number of them, but like I said, I was just never totally happy with their products. Oh, real quick, we're going to take a look under the hood. No, don't start it when you are opening the hood. Never do that. That is not safe, ladies and gentlemen, and others. Okay. Let's turn that off. All right, real quick under the hood. Looks great. Love it. The amount of color, sculpt, everything else in there is more than I mean. I didn't expect the hood to open. So the fact that you've got there, you can recreate the scene with Ray working on it if you so desire. But that's cool. That's just a nice touch, and it opens up nice and wide. So it snaps back into place. So there it is. The HasLab Basic Ecto-1. I will be reviewing the deluxe version once it comes in, the differences there. But I love this. This was a must-have for me. This is something that there's no way I couldn't have bought this. So I'm thrilled to have it in the collection. And I actually do have space for it. I've known where it's going since I bought it. Now, as to where two of them are going to go, that's going to take a little moving around, but I do have the space for one right now. So, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things. And until next time, don't be afraid of any ghosts.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.